I've built a subwoofer box, I've done the woodworking for the beauty panels, and now we are ready to do the upholstery process to finish up this custom Wrangler enclosure. How do I wrap each of these panels, and what advanced material gapping techniques did I use to get perfect seams? What steps must you take to get good results when wrapping a panel with a ton of detail? Welcome to CarAudioFabrication, the show where together we learn how to master car audio and how to design, build, and install our dream car audio system. Here on this channel, I do product overview videos, I do lessons, and I do build log videos like this one. So if you guys like that kind of thing, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Let's get into it with the upholstery process on this Wrangler. To get our upholstery process underway, we of course need a couple of different things. First off, I need my respirator, which keeps my lungs nice and safe, and then I need a nice cheap spray gun along with my upholstery adhesive. Now I reviewed the spray gun in a previous video, and for the spray adhesive you're going to want to use DAP Weldwood Lando Top and Trim. This is by far the best upholstery adhesive to use, especially when you're doing vinyl. You can get away with using one of those aerosol cans for carpet, but for vinyl you need good high quality adhesive. I start with laying out my parts carefully onto the vinyl, making sure that I allow enough material outside of each piece so that I can wrap it around the edge. You'll notice that the parts are currently face up and I'm applying the glue on that top surface. The reason I do it this way is some of the excess glue that misses the part then gives me a nice outline so I know where to spray the adhesive once I remove those parts off of the top. Because this is a contact cement, the way it works is I need to apply the adhesive to both pieces of material and then allow it to fully dry. In fact, that's the most common mistake that I see is people get antsy and they want to hurry up and wrap it. You have to give the material time to dry. I usually wait about 10 minutes and I'll have a fan blowing over the material and then I can test it with my hand. If my hand comes away clean with no adhesive on it, then we're good to go. Now I will carefully position my piece, and you want to be careful here because once you apply pressure to this contact cement, it definitely wants to lock itself in place. This is a good thing because it means the vinyl won't lift, but we just have to be careful during the wrapping process. So now I can spray that back edge of the piece as well. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a little bit of a step on the back side of the piece. And I did this during the woodworking process. If you want to check that out, you can go back to that video. But this step is intentional because when I wrap the material around the back side, I can use my tuck tool here to tuck it up against that edge. And then that edge gives me a nice guide to run my razor knife in to get a nice clean cut. The other advantage of that step is it makes it so that the material wrapped around to the back side of the panel does not allow the panel to lift. It doesn't bunch up underneath the panel when we go to put it into the vehicle against whatever it's sitting against. Planning out the gaps for the material is really important during the woodworking process, so I can't encourage you enough that if this is the first video of this build that you're seeing, you should definitely go back and check out the other videos. This process is essentially the same for every piece that I'm going to be wrapping, so instead of just repeating that same process, I'm going to give you guys some tips on some different things that you might see during wrapping. So the first thing is this here. You can see I'm actually trimming the outside perimeter flush rather than wrapping it around, and the reason for that is this part of the panel is actually tucked into another panel, so you would never see that corner. The other piece that it fits in nice and tight, so it's going to hold that vinyl in place. When it comes to wrapping tight inside corners, you want to cut little notches of relief into the material, but be careful that you don't cut the material too far. You're going to carefully pull it around the edge and lock each of those fingers into place using your pry tool. Always make sure that you cut a rabbited groove around the inside of a material so that you can trim those fingers and the excess material away. I'm now moving on to wrapping these complex shapes, which are a combination of both an outside shape with an inside shape. So we are making some progress. I've got both of the side pieces wrapped along with those inserts for the little storage area. I've got the stacked chamfered piece all wrapped on the inside. I've also got these side pieces wrapped. These were really fun. It's got that insert in there too, so you can see that things are starting to come together. Next, I need to be wrapping these pieces, which are part of the center on the front face, and I'm going to be using a different vinyl material for these. I'm going to go with a gray perforated material on this, and then I think I'm going to do a white on the inside here. So we'll have 3 different colors of material. Should look really cool. Let's get to wrapping this piece here. I start the wrapping process for the perforated material just like any other piece. With perforated vinyl, since it has this hole pattern on it, we want to make sure that we line it up with our panels. So what I do is I take a couple of small drill bits and I push them through the holes and I trace that line with my finger to make sure they're on the same line. And then I just put down a piece of body line tape. So now I can remove the drill bits and I have something to line up with when I go to push this piece and adhere it with the back side of the vinyl. That's super key on perforated vinyl. Once it's lined up perfectly, I can then wrap just like before. So I've got that perforated piece finished around the outside here. That's looking good. Now I need to wrap this inside piece and this piece that sits around the subwoofer. And I was trying to decide, I know I want both of those to be the same color because they're on the same location of the box. Trying to decide what color I wanted to go with. I think I'm going to go with white. The reason I'm using white is it will give a good contrast with the other colors I have going on. And also because there's detail on this panel, you want to use a lighter color when you want to show off detail because it will pick up shadows more than a dark color will. So because this panel has the most fine detail on it, I'm going to do a light color, that way you can see it. Now there's a special trick that I want to show you when it comes to doing detailed upholstery work. But first, what do you do when you want to install a new audio system into your vehicle but you're not sure what size speakers or other gear will fit? Well, I've got the solution for you, and I want to take a quick second to thank monthly channel sponsor Crutchfield. With Crutchfield, you can easily pick the year, make, and model of your vehicle along with vehicle-specific audio features. Crutchfield has done a ton of research on many different vehicles with many different factory audio systems, and you can see some of their research pictures along with the information you need to know what size speakers to get, what head units will fit. The list goes on. To use the Crutchfield Vehicle Selector and to get a special offer for CarAudioFabrication fans, check out the link here on screen or down in the video description. Let's get back into wrapping these panels with the white material. This one is pretty much the same as what we've been doing before. We're going to tuck it into the back on those rabbited grooves, but this panel here is going to be a little bit more advanced because we need to actually push the vinyl down into these. The trick to do this properly is a couple of different things. So first of all, we're going to want to make sure that we get plenty of adhesive down into the groove. That one seems pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes people forget. Next, we will apply the adhesive to the back side of the vinyl material just like we always do, but here's where things get a little different. We're not going to just blindly stick these two pieces together. We need to have a strategy. What I'm doing here is I've taken a piece of wax paper and I'm putting it over part of the panel where I don't want the material to stick quite yet, because I'm then going to take the material and carefully fold it into the first of the two grooves. I then take a nice clean microfiber rag that is wet with water and start to push that material down into the groove. The rag slides really nicely on the vinyl and it allows me to give good pressure, locking the material in place. To move on to doing the next groove, I take that wax paper and shift it up just a slight amount, only exposing that next groove. From here, it's just a process of repetition until we've completely covered the panel. From here, it's just like wrapping any other panel, except for this part here is a little bit of a challenge because it's smaller, but I can just pull the material, cut those relief cuts like before, and carefully position it using my pry tool. So I've got these final two pieces wrapped with white material. Let's get this in position. That snaps in, looking good. Now it's time for my favorite part of the project, assembling all of these final pieces into the vehicle. To see the design behind how each of these pieces fits together, definitely go back and check out some of the previous videos in this build. There's no adhesive between panels, everything is bolt together, that way I can take things apart if need be. And I forgot to mention, just in case you're wondering, I also added that grill fabric to those side pieces. It's behind the panel, hiding those holes. Now I can add that last cover panel that sticks with magnets into place. So here it is, my friends. Let's take a look at the finished product. I'm biased, but I think this build turned out awesome. I like how it is nice and clean, and I think the white and black offer a good contrast to each other. The detail work on the center panel looks cool, and I like how the large chamfers around the subwoofer give that panel a lot of depth. And I like how the port cover and fake port cover give the build symmetry while being functional. So that's another build done and complete. I'd like to know what you guys think of this build and what you guys would like to see next. Next time you're upgrading your vehicle's audio system, don't forget to check out Crutchfield to see exactly what is compatible with your vehicle and what will fit. Visit them at the link on screen or down in the video description. You can check out some of my other videos here on screen. A special thanks to Crutchfield, along with Anthony, Bernard, Brian, William, Marcos, Michael, Jeremy, Doug, Steve, Emmanuel, Jerry, and the rest of the Patreon membership team. A big thanks to all those guys for making these videos possible. Thank you, my friends, for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.